Welcome to the Intrinsic Report, where we leave you informed and inspired. Major empires rise and fall in predictable patterns. These patterns are often referred to as civilizational cycles. When they last about 50 to 100 years, they are known as short cycles. For example, Alexander's Macedonian Empire, which lasted 2 decades, would be a short cycle. So is the Mongol Empire, which lasted a little over a century. When they last between 250 to 500 years, they are known as long cycles. Classical empires like Acadia, Old Babylon, New Egypt endured through a long cycle. European empires like the Portuguese, the Spanish, the French, the Dutch, and the British are more recent examples of long civilizational cycles. The even more resilient civilizations oscillate between short and long cycles as they make their way through a super long cycle, one that could last a millennia or even a couple of millennia. The Sumerians and the Byzantines easily come to mind, having endured for over a millennia. So what drives these civilizational cycles? How long these cycles will be is often determined by economic, political, military, and technological advancements. From early Sumer to the late classical Rome, we can see how these civilizational cycles happen many times over before an empire's stagnation marks the beginning of its decline and a fatal conclusion thereafter. The even more relevant to our times, the decline of European empires like the Dutch and the British help us identify civilizational fault lines, such as financial overextension, weakening productivity, rising debt, and internal conflict. You're probably wondering where America falls in all of this. See, in previous episodes, we began to see how the US is following a similar trajectory today. Usually, the dominant country begins by establishing a reserve currency. Then, it seeks to exert influence regionally first and globally after. This ushers in a period of prosperity, one often called the Golden Age. Overextension follows suit as domestic demands for continued growth outpaces production and international involvement gets costlier. In the absence of innovation or reform, the dominant power's decline becomes inevitable. And 21st century America has been marked by economic slowdown and the costliness of overextending itself globally. Declining economic prosperity has been blamed on the offshoring of manufacturing courtesy of President Bill Clinton's trade policies. Clinton, particularly his support for NAFTA and China's entry into the WTO, played a significant role in accelerating the economic decline of entire industries in Middle America. Clinton-era policies and trade deals came home to roost during the 2008 financial crash under Obama. The inherent weakness of a global economy that hinges on the dollar are exposed. Suddenly, diversification of foreign reserves and even de-dollarization became urgent workarounds to America's economic decline. Militaristic campaigns in the Middle East during the Bush and Obama years cast doubt on the wisdom of using taxpayers' money to fund wars abroad while Americans were struggling financially at home. And America's rising national debt has been seen as unsustainable, since not only does it undermine economic growth in the long run, it shifts the fiscal burden unfairly to future generations. Therefore, the political mood in the last 2 decades has been marked by desperate attempts to course correct America's decline. In the background of America's waning light, another economic power emerges. Courtesy of its technological advancements, disciplined governance, China appears to be following the path of rising empires. As China is increasingly challenging the US for global dominance, we are forced to inquire into its history in order to better understand its character, motives, making it possible for us to predict the geopolitical shifts signaled in its arrival. Will China finally replace the US as the sole superpower? Or will the 21st century be the age of multipolarity? Could China perhaps implode from within, completely thwarting its global ambitions altogether? The answers to all these questions lie in investigating China's 5,000-year civilizational supercycle. Subscribe to be notified when new episodes of this series are released. That's all for now. Do let me know if you are informed or inspired down in the comment section. I've been your host, Martin K, for the Intrinsic Report. Have a good one.